Very on the spot with it. Hold on. We have videos. We have graphics. You've seen that. Why did I go to my channel? You've seen the rundown, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know basically what's going on.
Yeah.
Are we still not live?
I mean, we have 2 minutes.
Very on the spot with it. Hold on. We have videos. No. So I have continually refreshed the front page of the channel, and it's given no indication that we're live. But if you have the exact link to it, you can go to it. Thanks, YouTube. You've only existed for more than a decade. Useless idiots!
John, that is not your actual angry voice. That is your I'm playing angry voice. And I think what you need to do is unlock the inner anger in you.
You think I can tell the difference?
That's not how people sound when they're angry. When they're angry, they go, "You're making me wear a mask?"
Oh, we're going to have some of that.
I thought we were in hello time.
We have graphics. Oh, man. Okay. We're going to do this. So what was a week off like? What did you do that you wouldn't have otherwise done?
I just had games. I didn't do any practice.
Wait, what games?
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I just was on a couple shows, and it was like the old days.
But that's true. But what did you do for fun?
I walked on the beach.
You walked on the... I thought you said you watched, and it was a little bit creepy at first, but...
I washed up on the beach.
What are people doing on the beach? Because you live...
Surf camp.
Much closer... Really? A surf camp? You live much closer
hundreds
to...
and hundreds of kids with no...
Masks?
With no masks.
Oh my
We're
God.
playing dodgeball.
Well, at least there's distance with dodgeball. Yeah, like...
Yeah, but they're contaminating a ball and throwing it at each other and picking it up and licking their hands.
Wow. So many people might not know this, but California, like Hermosa Beach, Huntington Beach, that area is like more resistant to science in this area than like the deepest, reddest part of Texas or Florida. Like they just aren't having it, and they haven't been having it the entire time.
Yeah. It is a nexus of, well, the further south you get from here down, it's very Republican.
Yeah.
It's like you start getting into Duncan Hunter territory.
Ugh, that's true. Hopefully not that much longer.
It's a bunch of SC. Basically, after you graduate from the University of Spoiled Children, yeah, JR, yeah.
He knows.
USC,
he knows.
You head south. And then you either you head down to Redondo, and then you either spend the rest of your life moving north to Manhattan Beach or south to Orange County, where you came from. And then what you do is you have kids with the person you're supposed to have kids with, according to whatever your lawyer father tells you to do. And
that's hot.
Then you never tell those children you love them. And they get into cocaine, meet a girl that you say is okay to meet. Then they have married love with them and don't tell their kids that they love them.
The circle of
Did you
life.
read that story that Judith sent around? That was like that was like the freeways of Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, how there's just veins pumping coronavirus into the heart and brain.
Oh no! They said
the racism, the segregation. Yes. There's been a lot of LA highway talk recently. Okay, let's
405. John.
Okay, yeah, no, I know. Okay, I'm trying to get ready.
We're ahead of the game.
Happy thoughts. I was thinking about like, we just watched Moana again, which I really like, and that movie. Like I tear up in movies. I'm only saying this because mics aren't hot.
No, not hot. So you were blubbering. You're a blubbering.
I wasn't blubbering,
girly man.
But I was tearing up. It's not that I was tearing up. It's that I was tearing up like 5 minutes into that movie, maybe 5.
Now,
instantly.
Up decided to do that. Up the ante on just like, hey, welcome to this kids movie. Everyone's sitting down. Do you have your popcorn yet? Come in. Come in. You have your popcorn now? Okay, good. Sit down. You're having a good time, right? His wife is dead.
And they're They're tear ups for very different reasons, but man, they can hit you fast. They're experts at that sort of thing. Should we do a political show? Let's do it.
Everything's so political with you, John. Why?
Oh god. Okay. The weirdest thing is they're talking about Moana too. Okay, turning on the mics.
Muted. Good.
Let's do this.
Hang on, let me clear my throat. Gotta do my vocal warm-ups. La da dee da dee. We like to party, dancing with Miley. Okay, I'm ready.
You sound better.
No one knows how far this goes.
Hello, everyone, to another episode of The Damage Report on Friday. Blessed Friday.
Blessed be the under his eye day.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Whatever. I just need Fridays. Which brings us to Brett Erlich, host of the Happy Half Hour. Also, TYT Game Night. Also, Common Room. He is spreading into your Twitches.
I'd rather other people host those shows, to be honest. I just always feel paranoid. So as I've become more of a producer in my advanced age, I get more and more paranoid that things aren't figured out yet. And what that translates to is that I have less and less faith in humanity, which is sad and counterproductive. Mm-hmm. Everyone has everything figured out. I just go, I'm a control freak now.
Yeah.
This girl I dated in high school was like, you always go with the flow, and those days are gone. So you did change me, Samantha.
She tried, and they always say that the woman can't change you, but Samantha, she broke that pattern. Yep. Thank you for being here, Brett. Hopefully going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be closing out the day as we always do on Friday. I need to not look at the live video of you while this is going on. With our Garbage People of the Week, including the community. The TDR Community Garbage Person of the Week. We'll have that for you, too. We've got a lot of news. We're going to be talking about the Fox Town Hall bunker that Trump retreated to. We've got updates on the ACA. We've got tons of stuff. But I want to give people just another minute to get in here. Can I tell a quick story?
No.
Okay. So we had a reporter on from the Huffington Post like a week or two ago about influencers who did like mommy blogging or fitness or makeup or whatever that during the pandemic had started to dip their toe into the urine warm waters of conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. And it was a great interview, great article. Go take a look at it. I hadn't really come across any of that. Like my wife knows someone who has become crazy with conspiracy theory, but I haven't. It's always like academic distance removal from it. But I went on Instagram this morning and I follow, like a lot of people do, I follow some accounts purely for fitness inspiration. There's this woman and she just gives fitness tips and it's great. But anyway, she had a thing.
Everyone just live in this moment, in this feeling where John's
Let's
like,
move
so
past it.
It's not the Lululemon tushies I'm here for.
It's not. This isn't what's important. Let's move past it. Anyway, so she had, a picture. But then I looked at the caption. And the caption, so she was at a gym and she had a mask on. And the caption was going off on how we don't need masks, how breathing carbon dioxide is more dangerous than coronavirus, and that we should let the healthy young people go to the gym without a mask to become stronger so that we can have herd immunity. And I was like, I've never seen this person say a crazy thing before. But then in the comments, all the comments were supportive. Like, yeah, you're right. It's all fake. And one guy was like, this virus, there's something fishy about it. And she responded, I can't disagree with you. And I thought, you can't even disagree with the part where he put virus in quotation marks? It's a virus, right? Can we agree that it's a virus, if nothing else? Yes, you get it from 5G towers, but it's a virus that 5G gives you. I've been so insulated up until today.
We did on Happy Half Hour, which everyone should watch today. Nando Vila is on the live version, and we have a really good time. We shot it last week because this is vacation, Brett, you're talking about. But we had on a previous Happy Half Hour, Codfish, who follows us on Instagram, did a bunch of memes of 5G that looked like 5G is poisonous memes.
Mhm.
And then it gave you like ways to avoid the poison.
Yes.
And all the guidelines that they gave in the fake meme were like very helpful in fighting coronavirus.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The other thing is the mask does not eliminate your ability to acquire oxygen. It actually, in reality, there's a little more carbon dioxide, but I would assume it's no worse than breathing into a paper bag, which you should do anyway because you're hyperventilating over nothing. The request for you to wear masks is the right request to make.
Yeah.
It's not too burdensome. Like, to give you an idea of where you think the perils of losing your freedom lie, that ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
You are not losing your fundamental freedoms because people are like, please wear a mask, folks. More people have already died than died in Vietnam.
Yeah, twice as many. You're 100% right. They've passed or tried to pass multiple bills specifically stripping away privacy rights in a number of different areas since the beginning of the mask liberty protests. I love America. It's the best place. Yeah, the mask stuff, man. I'd really mostly avoided it, and it was just jarring to see. Not that they said it to all of their God knows how many people, but that it was applauded when they said it.
I remember, I forget who it was from Vox that you had on that just said that YouTube and I guess transitively, like every social media platform doesn't have an extremism problem. It has an extreme problem. And people start looking at like, I mean, it makes sense. How do I take care of my baby? If I'm a mommy vlogger, then it'll be like, well, here's how you take care of your baby. Here's how you take care of your baby in this crazy world. Here's how this world is even crazier than you could ever have imagined. And now you're reading things that are straight up conspiracy theories, and you've made your way to believing them. And it's insane because, I mean, they present themselves as life hacks, really, and that's what these influencers owe their success to, is everyone online looking for like a fun little life hack, a way to be smarter than other people, a way to have an edge in that conversation so that you're more informed. And it is not a requirement that those things you're informed about, so to speak, are actually true. You just want to feel a certain way while saying them to people that makes you seem superior to them.
Yeah.
And that's so dangerous because at some point those same folks should prioritize truth somewhere in that weird mix.
Yeah, I think you're identifying the cause of a lot of our problems. Specifically coronavirus now, but a lot of problems. Okay, thank you for indulging me in that story. We are going to be moving into the news imminently. Everybody who's here, please hit the like button, share the stream, all that stuff. We're going to be reading comments and super chats and hashtag TDR lives. But with that, let's jump into the news punching us in the face as we awake this morning. It's a pandemic, and so you would hope that our government would do whatever it takes to protect our health. They are doing, of course, the exact opposite. The Trump administration asked the Supreme Court late Thursday to overturn the Affordable Care Act, a move that, if successful, would bring a permanent end to the health insurance program popularly known as Obamacare and wipe out coverage for as many as 23 million Americans, which is just... Can we just take a second and acknowledge that is something in the worst pandemic we've had in a century?
It really is like the full Jim Jones Kool-Aid. My desire to feel superior to you, belief-wise, morally, it has no relationship to whether it helps me or other people live or die. You know, like, I feel like that might be the barometer for your moral superiority. But people just identify with this group of Trump. That's what makes them feel healthy. That's what makes them feel safe. And that doesn't translate in any way to them being healthier or safer.
Yeah. It's
from a strategic standpoint, what are you doing, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, what I just said has to be their entire strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let's give people in the camp of Trump, let's double down on things we said when we were getting people into the camp of Trump.
Yeah, just go
But
back to what worked.
But that didn't work. When you
Yeah.
did that, you couldn't pass it. You couldn't pass Obamacare repeal. You couldn't pass Affordable Care Act repeal. And worse, you lost the House of Representatives. So you're even further away from that. So you're going to keep behaving the same way you did that led to the loss of your attempt to repeal Obamacare and your loss in of the House of Representatives.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't seem smart.
Strategically, they're not trying to pass it. They're just trying to have the conservative Supreme Court strike it down effectively. So in terms of destroying it, I think the strategy is a little bit more sound. Pragmatically, in an election year dominated by deaths from a fatal illness, I mean, it seems like an odd choice.
The thing in the news is a health crisis, and you are eliminating people's health care, but maybe care is the operative word because
maybe
the folks but I don't know, but Trump supporters may have lost their jobs. Aren't they complaining about losing their jobs? And now they're out there swimming around now instead of just coronavirus and goo. Now they'll be swimming around in medical debt.
I mean, I guess I know that it's sometimes my advice to the Republican Party is impossible, that they could never actually do it. But considering how public opinion on Medicare for All has changed, if Trump did the thing he did last time in 2016, where he was like, no, I want literally everyone to have insurance and the government is going to pay for it, when he lied and said that that's what he was for, that might actually really help him. It would seem like he's changing in response to the pandemic, caring about people's lives. His audience would lap it up, especially because so many of them have lost their jobs. But that's not the direction they're going in. They're going in the direction of, we think we have so successfully brainwashed our fans that it won't hurt us to throw 24 million people off their health insurance, but that we know that our fans hate the ACA. They've been trained to for more than a decade, and so at least it'll look like we're doing what they want. Anyway, we don't know as of right now when the court is going to hear oral arguments in regards to this, but they're most likely to take place in the fall, just as Americans are preparing to go to the polls in November. So it is going to be an amazing, natural experiment, I guess. They've injected this into the election. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them.
It's the most counterintuitive series of actions taken by the president. They want to get rid of healthcare during a health crisis. They want to do it as people are going to the polls to vote. Along the way, Trump his first attempt was only to get them to overturn the protections for pre-existing conditions. And in the meantime, he's tried to eliminate funding for coronavirus prevention and diagnosis. The only part of that seems intuitive is he's trying to game the system, but only in testing. In deaths, it'll still be the same. He'll get a worse batting average in terms of cases presenting and mortality.
Yeah, and we're gonna break one of his little myths about mortality rate in a little bit, but yeah, it's an amazing strategy. It does make some degree of sense, at least in terms of continuing the pattern of not giving a damn about the pandemic from the very beginning. And I will give them this. If he wins, if the Republicans win a bunch of Senate seats and he wins after this year, we know nothing about elections. We know nothing about anything. We know nothing about what the government needs to do to earn the vote of its citizens, what it needs to, does it need to protect us for us to continue to support it? Apparently not. It'll be an amazing day of awakening if he wins. And not just, through electoral college shenanigans. If people actually turn out and vote for him, he wins the popular vote, that will really be something.
Yeah. It's, and what does that mean? In what way do we know nothing? Like, I live by the beach. We had some electrical issues. We had an electrician come out, and I wish I still had it. But like, there's a very simple circuit breaker that goes on and off, and that's how it's supposed to work. You turn it on when you want power, you turn it off when you don't want power. But because of the ocean air, things just get corroded little by little, and it was impossible to turn the breaker on and off anymore because it was just stuck in place. All of the changes made by Mitch McConnell to get judges, all of these weird flexes of the legislature to eliminate polling places, to suppress the vote. Those are all those little micro changes, the corrosion that has been at work to the point where, like, I don't know exactly when it got past that point. I don't know exactly all the factors that go into ruining the devices of democracy, but the question is, can we replace the breaker before it's just stuck in place?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Perhaps we'll see. Okay, let's read a few super chats before we move on. Lucy's Lala says, hey Brett, Cody Johnston from Some More News takes down your nemesis Krasinski. And I'm from Indiana, so I know Pence is a tool. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but apparently he did something about Krasinski recently. I expected a reaction.
Oh, come on.
Nothing. Okay.
Sorry. No, I was looking it up. I wanted to make sure it was the same person I thought it was. Listen. I'm not mad at John Krasinski for selling his Some Good News show. I just can't be. And I would be more than Cody, who just does some more news. Come on now. That's different from Some Good News. My show is more in line with that, but I am not the same as him because I can't just do the good news stories, John.
I know, I understand that.
Because I too am corroded.
I get it. If I look deep down and I think, how much do I care about him selling it? I don't think I care, but I think that if I did care, I wouldn't like it. It seems dirty to me. I don't want to get into a 20-minute conversation about it. It's not important, and I started by saying I don't care.
I didn't respond. You're like, ooh, I wanted a reaction out of you because I'm Jerry Springer, and you're the trashy guy in the audience.
I was wrong. I should not have tried to goad you about John Krasinski doing this obviously immoral thing that anyone who agrees with is a villain. Okay, Nappy Headed Nose says, yay, my favorite part of the week, Hot Mic Friday. Wait, what? Thank you. Rob Shively says...
Oh, they're saying we're hot.
Thank you. But no, that's Brett. I'm John. No mics. Rob Shively says, Brett, please only address John as the Barracuda. We're trying to make this a thing. Half bear, half fish, all nerd.
Are those subcultures?
I don't know. Gina Jones says, any updates on the Kentucky race? In terms of a final result, we are still waiting.
That's so crazy. I'm so excited about that.
It's pretty amazing. Zane's, it's still going to be a super tough race. Let's just bear that in mind. Zane says, Brett is the champion of Quiplash, my friends. He did win on TYT game night last night.
Zane was in there.
Matt says, I always look forward to watching John and Brett the Hebrew Hammer Erlich every Friday.
Isn't that a movie?
I think
Isn't
that
a
is
movie
from...
with the slow stab guy from Saving Private Ryan.
Is it? Interesting.
Yeah, the Hebrew Hammer. It was a Comedy Central movie.
That does sound right. Jen Whitfield says, the cat picture is freaking me out, man. Talking about Brett's new, eye patch wearing tiger.
Yeah, we got that on vacation. Cool. I will say that my other computer was fixed because some things about it were broken. But now that part was fixed, the computer's on for 4 minutes before it literally goes, and then stops working.
Yeah, that's not ideal. And then finally, Kai Allen says, it's hard because all the TDR co-hosts are amazing, but this is my fave duo. Y'all are effing hilarious and should start your own improv comedy duo. Love you, Brett. Keep being you. HHH forever. That would not be good.
Yes, and it would be terrible.
See? No, Brett would be good. I'm going to actually be honest. Brett would be good. There is literally nothing that I want to try to do less than improv comedy. Nothing.
John, question for you. Is your Are you getting Slack messages or am I getting Slack messages?
I'm getting Slack messages. I just
So
silenced
you
it.
need
Okay.
to silence that.
I did.
Oof.
Okay, with that.
Oof.
And there weren't actually any Slack messages. That was improv. Anyway.
John, shut the hell up. Shut that. This is called blocking. Shut up.
I don't know what blocking is. Okay.
It's
anyway, we got to get to.
You say no instead of yes in improv.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I mean, I don't see what you're saying. Okay, we
Adam
got to move on.
Plays the Hebrew hammer.
Thank you. That was what we were waiting to find out.
I like to refer to him as not Jonathan Silverman.
Exactly. Okay, we got to move on. Let's talk about the news.
Face shape. I love you.
Thankfully, this isn't going to be in the final video. Donald Trump wants to show during this election that he is strong. He's heard your talk about him hiding in a bunker, and so he's gone into enemy territory to do a town hall on Fox News. Here he is talking about coronavirus.
We have more cases because we do the greatest testing. If we didn't do testing, we'd have no cases. Other countries, they don't test millions, so up to almost 30 million tests. So when you do 30 million, you're going to have a kid with the sniffles, and they'll say it's coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. I said the other night, there are so many names to this. I could name 19 names, like Corona 19, but I could name 19 names. And our mortality rate is among the best countries in the world, meaning people that die. Because a lot of these tests, it's a kid doesn't even know. In some cases, it's people that didn't even know they were sick. Maybe they weren't, but it shows up in a test.
Okay. So they didn't know they were sick. Maybe they weren't sick, but they tested positive for it, and it killed them, but they weren't sick. Of the thing that they tested positive for that just killed them.
That's the opposite of a miracle. It was kind of a miracle because they weren't sick, but they had it, but they weren't sick and they died.
Of it, which they had, but they weren't sick with it.
I love from this thing, people were sharing like a transcript of his plan for the future.
Oh, we're gonna listen to that part.
Okay, good. I couldn't tell if we had that, but
that was madness. Madness. Now, like, yes, the testing stuff, that we wouldn't have cases if we didn't test. No, we wouldn't have cases if we didn't have COVID. And even if I understand that we say solipsism and, all of that, like, I get that we say that. Even if he knows exactly what he means, he just means that we only see it because we test. To talk about this literally every day is the most petulant, whiny, immature, stupid waste of our time that I can imagine. And then when he turns from that to his new thing, which is, hey everybody, I got a type 5 on how COVID's got a lot of names. It's got 19. I can name one like Corona 19. Which is not one of them.
No one has ever said that. No one has ever said that.
That's the only one he could come up with, and it wasn't
well,
one.
that's a hedge at Kung Flu.
Mm-hmm.
That's his like his 1,000-hand slap, which is his move, which I said on this show. It is insane. It is so unmoored from reality. He is absolutely saying that because A, it does sound like a type 5. It's a little bit he does, but B, he does it because in case someone wants to go after him for being racist, at some point he can look back and say, no, I'm just saying it has a lot of names.
Yeah.
That's true. That's that. But like, it's hard to not always say this, but that's the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And if you and we are a laughing stock. There is no way that, especially with this, like people can say, well, we're sticking it to China. I think he sometimes has had like the upper hand rhetorically by at least fighting for something that no one understands, but he's fighting against China in a trade war because everything's so cheap to make there. We want to make it here. Fine. But here, there is no number that proves that he's doing a good job. And there is no sentence he's put together that gets somewhere close to, well, China's screwing us on this. We got to fight back. There is only, well, we now know how many people have this terrible disease and we shouldn't.
And we shouldn't.
And that goes back to something that Trump that is fundamentally true about Trump. He never wants to take responsibility for any failure, even though he is responsible for pretty much every failure.
Yeah. It's amazing. I understand most of this is just there's no inroads to really grasping what he's saying there because he's saying so little. But the one specific claim he made was that our mortality rate, which is when people die, is the lowest in the world. You'll be shocked to find out. It's not. Yeah, we're third highest on that list.
It's the best.
It's best,
as you know.
In that it's third highest in the world. And again, that's mortality, which is not a measure of are we testing or not. I mean, sure, you can mess with the numbers by classifying deaths as one thing or another, but we have the third highest in the entire world.
Oh my God.
Now the United Kingdom is doing bad.
And oh yeah, it's real bad, but jeezy crazy, man.
Yeah, jeezy crazy. Okay, let's move on to the next video. Donald Trump has tried several strategies against Joe Biden early on, and so far they haven't really been working. But one that you can sort of get why he's going to this territory is Biden's losing it. Biden's lost a step. Biden doesn't quite have it. And he's going to say that in this Fox town hall. We're going to show you a bit. But look at how he immediately undercuts the case that he's trying to make.
Together, I don't want to be nice or unnice, okay? But, I mean, the man can't speak. And he's going to be your president because some people don't love me, maybe. And, all I'm doing is doing my job. Don't forget, before the China plague came in, and it's a China plague, before that came in, we had the best job numbers we've ever had. We had the best economy we've ever had. We had the best stock market we've ever had.
Okay, so, sorry for cutting you off there. So he just wants to make the case that Biden stumbles when he speaks a lot. He starts off by saying, I don't want to be nice or unnice. And then he launches into, we've been hit by the China plague. Which is,
and
again,
he pauses.
The ramblings. Like,
I'm going to do it. The China plague.
Oh, you think he was close to, that he was close to launching into his favorite racist joke?
Yeah. He's definitely wanted to use that one. He's not even, I don't know. Maybe, he is a good messenger. And he says it, he signposts it like that, where he's like, I'm going to say the thing that I want you, my audience, to say. And he's looking into the camera instead of at Hannity because he's like, I've been locked in a basement for a very long time, just starting. And don't talk about Oklahoma. No Oklahoma. No Oklahoma. OKKK with me. I am now going to go straight into my bits. Here are my bits because I have just been dying to get on stage. And that's it. But he is an absolute doddering, he makes no sense, no thoughts. No sentence ends the way he thought it was going to when he started it.
Assuming he did think.
He doesn't even plan sentences.
You want an example of that, Brett?
An entire sentence. How is he going to plan the fight against coronavirus?
Right, that's a great point. I'm going to give you an example of what you're saying. And again, remember, the one thing he seems to believe could work for him in this election is Biden's crazy. I am a picture of stability. And so he demonstrated that right here.
I think I am a friend of mine said, you have to be the most perfect person.
They had everybody
up.
Hello,
mild friend. So Marissa gave us that little focus because Hannity is trying to tee up Trump time after time. He just wants him to look good. And Hannity is not insane, like crazy radical racist, all that. But he's got a functioning brain, and he sees this man on the edge of falling into a dark space mentally. And he's like, oh God, I'm just trying, just say something that sounds strong and coherent. Oh my God, you're the perfect person. Yeah, that's good. That'll play well, that you're perfect, utterly perfect. Evangelicals gonna love it. Ah, man. Sean Hannity.
People clapping.
Yeah, you're the
And
perfect
then just
person.
the microcosm, like, of Fox is the people who run it are like, we got to get these people 6 feet apart. We got to get these people in masks. We don't respect or admire them. We know that they're just tools for us. They are room meat. We need to get them in. So we need to put the red, white, and blue. But even the people at Fox have some kind of limit where they're like, listen, at this point, if we have too many people in here, they're going to get us sick. And at this point, if we have these people in and we take their masks off, they're going to get us sick. I'm fine with them at rallies far away from our producing areas to be there doing that. But that's where the rubber meets the road, as it does with people running the Republican Party and the people running Fox News is like, all right. I'm not going to move I'm still a New Yorker who thinks that all of the, like, who at my heart believes all this stuff that we have not been reporting on Fox about coronavirus.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they mostly have continued to broadcast from home. I am going to give Fox credit for one thing. I don't know if it was visible in that, but from what I could see, the crowd they'd brought in for this town hall was all wearing masks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. But the thing is, to have Trump come in and to have him face a crowd of people in masks could set Trump off against your network, but they still did it. And so I will give them credit for that. If I'm going to criticize them for not doing it in this case, I want to provide them positive feedback. Thank you, Fox, for not being the literal worst about this.
But the elephant, let's just talk about like the pièce de résistance, the I'm a perfect person line. Did you expect that, John?
No, I don't know if he didn't expect it.
Is that more or less or on par with what you would have expected him to answer that question with?
I mean, if you asked him, are you the perfect person? Obviously, he's going to say, no, I'm better than the perfect person. But I did not expect that he would literally make up a fictional friend who says that he is perfect in every way.
What do you think Hannity is actually thinking?
He's thinking, like, look, I think with Hannity seems to like Trump in a way that the other hosts don't necessarily. They support Trump. They're loyal to Trump. Hannity does seem to like him, but you gotta be uncomfortable in that sort of situation. Like, he doesn't respect him 100%. He can see that he's losing it.
Is he Fuller in Mighty Ducks? He's that guy that, like, has 1,000... I think it's Fulton? Fulton, maybe?
Fulton Reed?
Fulton Reed. He just, like, is this big weirdo who just flails, and you need him to hit the shot 1 out of every 5. And you're just like, I need to put together some kind of offense, some kind of game plan where this doesn't end up killing someone.
Exactly.
But it already has. His flailing slap shots have killed hundreds of thousands of people.
They have. Okay, we have one more video, so I'm going to subject you to this, okay? Do you remember the scene in The Office where Michael Scott is asked, what are you doing right? This softball question, and he has no idea how to answer it? Well, that is Fox News Town Hall. Trump is asked, a softball, what are you going to do if you get a second term? What are your priorities? And this is what he said.
And what are your top priority items for a second term?
Well, one of the things that will be really great, the word experience is still good. I always say talent is more important than experience. I've always said that. But the word experience is a very important word. It's in a very important meaning. I never did this before. I never slept over in Washington. I was in Washington, I think, 17 times. All of a sudden, I'm president of the United States. You know the story. I'm riding down Pennsylvania Avenue with our first lady, and I say, this is great. But I didn't know very many people in Washington. It wasn't my thing. I was from Manhattan, from New York. Now I know everybody. And I have great people in the administration. You make some mistakes, like, an idiot like Bolton, all he wanted to do is drop bombs on everybody. You don't have to drop bombs on everybody. You don't have to kill people.
If John Bolton, in fact, released classified material, should he be prosecuted?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, he did release classified.
So, I like Hannity pulling the ripcord on that softball there. He's like, I gotta get this guy out. Just riff on Bolton for a bit. But Brett, I mean, is that the right characterization? Michael Scott has no idea what to say, so he just starts talking.
Especially because in that episode he's brought in to share because he is the most successful branch, and it becomes clear that he has no idea how or why he did that.
Yeah.
And it has and any success has nothing to do with his guidance or leadership. And worse than that, he doesn't even know anything about guidance or leadership. He's just his own doddering self and kind of racist self. And then, against all odds, he finds success. And that's kind of how Trump was. And that's how Trump answered that question. Trump answers that question I guess I'm just going to talk in ways that my mind guides me. And I, in this sentence, am being guided. And, and that's what it is. It is. And then is that his strategy? Is his strategy just to say, I guess if you wanted to compare him to a comedian, he is still working on his material for the election because he knows he wants to say something like, listen, I was the benefit of the benefit of the benefit of the doubt is I got here with no experience and I've been this successful. Now I know who to talk to and who to work with.
Yeah.
And, if you think one of my weaknesses that I've been called out for lately is by hiring people that I say are great, firing them when they actually do moderately sane things, given how insane they actually are. Now you're mad at me for my personnel choices because because Bolton's what's in the news right now. This seems like his defense against that on the way to saying it'll be even better now because I know better than to hire the Boltons. I know better than to bring in all these people who have had a negative effect on my administration. And to a certain extent, he's right. He won't hire those people anymore because no one's coming to him the way they used to. They used to say, okay, I'll be the first, last, and only line of defense against the worst scum of the United States, Donald Trump, in a way that is kind of glad handing him and saying, hey, sir, you're so smart, sir, but before you push that nuclear button, maybe we should think of some other things. While Trump thinks that they're on his side, but maybe he won't do that because those people just aren't around to think they can have any positive effect anymore.
Maybe that's what he's trying to get across. To me, it sounds a little bit like after running on Washington is the most inherently corrupt place in the world. We need to get outsiders in there. He's now saying it's just, better once you've been in DC for a while and you know people and you know how things work.
It just shows how dumb he is because, okay, if you think insiders in Washington are a good idea, how about 30 to 50,000 year veteran of Washington, Joe Biden?
Yeah, it's a weird point to make. But the overall point that he was just asked, what do you want to do if we give you the most powerful position in the world again? And he starts talking about, I'd never done a sleepover in DC, and I was driving with the First Lady, and I said, this is great. Like, after saying that Biden is losing his mind, that to me, like you can take that whole big paragraph and say, he's sort of saying he's learned, but for me, it's just, I would feel so bad if I found myself in a conversation with someone like this. I would feel so bad for them. Madness.
And how often do you think presidents of the United States have said the word sleepover? And not just presidents, grown ass men have said the word sleepover when not giving permission to a kid to have a sleepover.
Yeah. And
the baby.
So finally, and we have other news we got to get to, but I just point this out for if there's anyone in the country who still thinks that Trump is an alpha male, tough guy, he can stand up to anything. Like, not only did he get that softball, once they turned to the audience, Daniel Dale tweeted out the first 3 questions he got were, what do you think is your greatest accomplishment? How will you give us back our streets? And how will you make sure we don't have mail voting fraud? Tough questions for the embattled president. It's the Fox bunker. That's what it is.
It's amazing.
Okay.
And he hates it. And he treats it like trash when it even remotely signals that it might have its priorities somewhere near the right place.
Yeah. Okay, a few super chats real fast. Matt D says, did you hear about the councilman in Arizona saying I can't breathe to protest wearing masks? And then he claims he didn't think about BLM when making that comment. It made me confused on whether I should be mad or cry. Yeah, I did see that. I don't know if he was consciously thinking of it, but it was incredibly tone deaf at best.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Elphick says, anti-gay Republicans. Nope, not reading the rest of that, but thank you for the super chat. Okay. Nick the Unicorn says, I heard that Biden had a stutter all his life and still struggles with it sometimes. What's Dip S. Don's excuse? Yes, he does. And that's why little things like, there's a huge news cycle. It was on every Fox show was, Biden had said 120 million people died from coronavirus. Obviously, he meant 1,000. He said million. Is it a problem that he has gaffes like that, little slip-ups? Sure, I've pointed it out. But they're treating it as he thinks 120 million people have died.
Right.
One right-wing news site that's huge on Facebook says Biden tried to lie to the American public to convince them 120 million people had died. What are we doing any of this for? We're surrounded by so much pure crystallized dishonesty.
It's a nightmare. Before we move on, Obi-Mom Kenobi on Twitch gifted a tier 1 sub to TYT. Engage.
Very nice.
Love it.
Thank you.
And Thunder Voice 100 cheered Thunder Voice 1 cheered 100 bits, saying happy B-Day, happy garbage birthday to John and Brett.
Yeah. Thank you.
And Leland May, Leyland May subscribed, and so did Guyo McGee.
Thank you, Twitchites. Maria Hall, by the way, said, well, using the term sleepover, it's a bit like saying nice and unnice. He has the vocabulary of a small child. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to refer to, like, a piece of legislation he really likes as his binky soon.
And then he'll giggle. Binky.
Okay, let's move on to other news. Obviously, the polls aren't looking great for Donald Trump. We've talked about that. I mean, the fact that, you know, in these states that hypothetically the Republicans should be dominating in, that Biden has a big lead in Florida, a small lead in Georgia, that he's a point up in Texas is not where you would want to be. I don't know how much we can trust any individual poll, let alone a Fox News poll, but I'm just putting it out there. But what I really want to talk about, Brett, is this potentially imperiling not just Donald Trump, but the Republican control over the Senate? Because recent polls show that Martha McSally is down 9.
She's done. He's an astronaut.
He's an astronaut, and he is soaring high above her. Let's see, we've got the Michigan race where the Dem Peters is up 10 points right now. We've got North Carolina where Cunningham is up 3 over the incumbent Tillis. It's still, there's a lot of undecided in these races, and we still are a long way out. But if the Republican Senate candidates start to get scared that Trump is dragging them down, particularly if it's because of coronavirus and Trump's lack of interest in it, I wonder strategically how those Republican Senate candidates will adapt. Will they continue to cling to him if he's potentially plummeting to the bottom of the ocean?
I think he's really the only game in town. And if they stop clinging to him, I don't know. Right now, with some things where it's like within the margin of error, yes. I don't know how McSally's approach is ever going to change because she already lost a Senate race, didn't she? She's the one who was appointed to fill John McCain's seat after losing to Sinema in a head-to-head, right?
Yeah.
So she pulled out of that pretty quick instead of fighting tooth and nail to make sure every vote was counted because she knew she'd get appointed, and she owes her appointment to Trump. It would be fantastic. I would absolutely love it that if someone who owes her rise to some kind of weird implied fealty through the appointment mechanisms to Trump would then say, no, I'm good. I'm going against you. I just don't see how she beats Kelly.
Let me ask you a question about that, because obviously out of the polls that we have today, that's the biggest gap, I believe. Do you think, she's a demonstrated candidate who can't necessarily win? And sure, you get experience and everything like that, but she did lose a head-to-head race. Is it that Kelly has universal name recognition and a lot of respect for his past career? Is it that Arizona is turning? What do you think?
I think it's both, but I think mostly the name recognition. And the thing that would temper Arizonans against voting for like a gung-ho Democrat, they've proven that they don't. They do go Democrat. And then also, like, you get to say he was an astronaut. And even the Trumpiest of Republicans kind of think that's cool.
Yeah.
So I think he has what it takes to win there. In Michigan, I think that's more of a coattails of, it is Trump being terrible. And I think it's also that you got to get a Biden bump. I can't believe there is no Biden bump from Michigan. That's evident in the primary that Biden still has some cachet from having killed bin Laden and saved the auto industry. As they would say, but Biden saving auto industry, Biden Democrat coming back. Let's go that way.
Yeah,
I think that's going to happen in Michigan. North Carolina, who knows? Because I don't know North Carolina. I can't see a non-Trump Republican running guy. I don't know much about that race, but I'd imagine you'd have to stick kind of tight to the Trump of it all, because it's North Carolina, but they have voted for Democrats. I think, isn't their governor a Democrat?
Yeah, I wonder, because the thing is, like, as you fall behind, it might hint that you should change your strategy. But if there is only one game in town, can you afford to even try? Especially when, like, there have been presidents who are unpopular that senators have been allowed to distance themselves from, or even sort of criticize, with the president understanding this is necessary to hold that seat. So I'm not going to go, and I'm not going to be in the state. I'm not going to remind people that they're close, like any of that stuff. But Trump is so petty and small that if McSally criticizes him 1%, he'll nuke her from orbit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, and he doesn't care fundamentally about having a Republican Senate if he isn't the Republican president during it. He would rather take them all down with him.
He is. I mean, look what he did in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
That's what'll happen. And the political calculus of the person running, they're kind of doomed if they don't stay with Trump. Because he's going to, what are they going to look to expand their base, but in doing so, alienate the president, which alienates their base.
Yeah.
It's like this weird, sick, I don't want you to be happy without me, so I will kill you, fatal attraction relationship.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this was just, I know that Cenk has been saying for a long time on the main show that as Trump's polls continue to be bad, the closer we get to the election, you should start to see Republicans draw away from him. But I think that there are a lot of reasons that you identified, sort of structural reasons or personality reasons, that just make that less likely to happen than it would in other elections.
Well, there's a difference between drawing away from him and drawing away from him in a way that he notices.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
But that's why I say, like, it would be amazing if Martha McSally was like, Trump's evil. Like, I'd love that. She's not going to do it that way, though.
No. And Arizona Republicans wouldn't love it. Like, yeah. Tough position. Your heart goes out for the Republican Senate candidate. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's move to other news. Fox News has a lot of time to fill in their air since they're pretending that the coronavirus pandemic still isn't happening. So they have been talking about the protests, almost exclusively about the need to protect statues. They care a lot about statues, less about, American lives. But I want to show you Tucker Carlson's screed last night against the protesters, because at the best of times, Fox News has one foot in the let's move America fully in the direction of, fascism direction, all that. This is just really something. Like, even if you pay attention to what Tucker Carlson said, his messaging around this, I want you to take a look at what he had to say about what should be done to protesters.
It would change the course of this country's future if the Justice Department rounded up the leaders of Antifa tomorrow, along with every single person caught on camera torching a building, destroying a monument, defacing a church, and put them all in shackles, and then frog marched them in front of cameras like MS-13 and called them what they actually are: domestic terrorists. Not protesters, not civil rights activists, not CNN contributors, but domestic terrorists. That would be their new government-approved title. Once they're charged, it's official, in fact. They are literally, as a factual matter, accused terrorists. And that would change minds right away. The people destroying this country are criminals. Few are brave enough to call them that, so naturally their popularity grows. Everyone supports protesters. This is America. We believe in protest. But watch what happens when you start calling them what they really are.
That's amazing for a lot of reasons, but
he has represented He has represented so many racist statements and framings, which are not what something really is, as how they really are. Like that is the framing of a racist, to say, let's call them what they really are, and then characterizing it in a way that is nowhere remotely close to how they are. That's what Tucker Carlson wants. That's how he's trying to message, but he's losing that messaging war, as evidenced by the vast positive support for Black Lives Matter. Like, he's losing it. And this is his crazy attempt by saying he wants to put people in shackles and frog march. What is it, dude? Tucker, I know you got frog marched when you joined the frat, but like, you can't do that anymore. It's 2020.
Yeah, there's a lot to take issue with, and I don't want to miss it, a lot of it, but
yeah.
One of two things is true based on one of the first sentences of that. Either he thinks that Antifa has leaders,
yeah, love it,
in which case he's not a serious person, or he knows that they don't have leaders, but thinks he can fool his audience into thinking that, yeah, they have leadership. Yeah, it meets in, conference room in the Holiday Inn once a month. So he either is stupid or thinks his audience is stupid.
He thinks the audience is stupid, and that's his rhetorical journey he's on. Like, he wants that's beneficial to him. That is the strategy, is to have people at home believing that there are leaders of Antifa to go get, the same way that we went after bin Laden. But and
storm the compound.
And what? Oh my God, arrest the people who destroyed property? Those are already the laws.
Yeah, that already happens.
So, go arrest hey, the police are one ahead of you. They're arresting people who are peacefully standing there more than they are arresting people who burn down buildings.
Exactly. Yeah. And if he's just
which isn't happening, but just last thing, which isn't happening as much as he says it is.
Yeah, that's why they're showing footage from weeks ago. And if he's just, because he says everybody supports protesters. When has he expressed support for the peaceful ones? He hasn't. If it's just about people stepping outside of the law, he would also be criticizing the cops for brutalizing people, but he's not doing that. He wants to pretend that he cares about protest, but he doesn't, clearly. And there, he lumps so many people into, they should just be called terrorists. CNN contributors, not civil rights. So none of them are what they say they are. None of them are reporters in the field. None of them are civil rights activists. They're all terrorists. And what this is the most clumsy, obvious, like, normally they just take these groups and call them terrorists. Here he's explaining to his audience, let's manipulate people. Right now they're considered protesters. Let's just have the government designate them terrorists to change people's minds. It's like he's stripped away all of the cover, and he's just like, no, let's do propagandas. Come on.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Especially when he says, listen, white people who haven't done anything are blameless for sins they haven't committed. And then it's like, so you're saying that all protesters who are outside not doing anything against the law are suddenly like blamable for things they haven't done? Like, that logic breaks down. And can you play the video one more time to show the B-roll, and then we can cut it after you see the statue?
It would change the course of this country's future if the Justice Department rounded up the leaders of Antifa tomorrow, along with every...
Cool. So this is my favorite image in the whole thing, because he's showing a statue on the ground with a noose around its neck and wanting you, the viewer, to feel bad for an inanimate object that has a noose around its neck. And they want you to feel worse for that inanimate object with the noose around its neck than you would feel about what it represents, which is a person who advocated for tying nooses around blameless, innocent Black people's necks.
Yes.
Like, and killing actual human beings. He doesn't want you to think about that. And slavery, which is the worst. He doesn't want you to think about that. He wants you to feel bad because that lump of bronze has a rope around it.
Yep. Feel worse for the statues.
He wants you to feel worse for the statues than for the actual humans those statues represent, victimized.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's been saying on his show, I'm sort of glad that he's gotten into this stuff, because at least he's not telling people that lockdowns aren't necessary and they don't help and masks don't do anything. He's moved on from that. But he's been telling, no, they're going to come for you. The BLM militias are going to patrol the streets. They're going to come for you. They're going to take your house. They're going to come for you. It is the most obvious white supremacist fascism. That is all his show is. And he admits there, I will call something whatever I want to manipulate you into changing your opinion of it. He can't be trusted on literally anything. He lies to, like us, but we don't watch it, so it doesn't really matter. He lies to his audience to deceive them into supporting white supremacy and fascism.
Right.
That is his entire program. That is the only reason he is there.
And he wants to say, and I said this on your show, I think, before, but like he wants you to say, if you're a white, you're not to blame for the people who held slaves. You're not to blame for the era of slavery in the United States, because you haven't done anything you didn't do anything to support that. But by advocating for these statues, by taking up the battle flag of Robert E. Lee, no, you are no longer blameless because you are advocating for what those things represent, which, if I take the words of the Vice President of the Confederacy during the Cornerstone speech, is the defense of slavery based on black people being worse than white people.
Yeah, you would, as we've said very often, like, pick a flag. Like, either you think that the American flag is the most important thing ever, should be burned, or like you wouldn't like cast it aside and then say, no, I actually like this Confederate one. Like, they can't pick. But then also the wanting, like, it's so what you just said, that they want to claim that white privilege doesn't exist because we're not responsible for anything that was done before. Also, let's venerate everything bad that was done before. Like, pick one of those two things. One of them. Say, it was really bad. I love it. Thank God I have the benefits that were given to me, passed down to me from that. Pick a thing. Pick an awful lane.
You don't have to.
You don't
get
have
to
to.
just
You
be
can
terrible.
have
To
it
be
all.
honest, though, now I think about it, people who pull down those statues, they are kind of terrorists because they've killed that statue, and I feel bad for the statue family.
Yeah, it can't be brought back, that statue. Can't be brought back. Brett, are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm going to go first?
You go first, because I forgot her name.
Okay, you look up her name. That's a spoiler, by the way, but okay. Okay, let's see. Do I have this? Do I have everything? I hope so. Ugh, hope this is good. Okay. Everybody, it's the end of the week. It's time to take out the trash. I actually kind of miss Brett just doing that impromptu, but thank you. You're the best. Okay, so for my garbage person of the week, I got a cut from that. For my garbage person of the week, it is someone, I'm not sure if I've ever put him in the trash before, but there is a great reason to this week. It is one Ron DeSantis, and that uncomfortable grin, we're going to demonstrate why perhaps he's so uncomfortable there. I want to start by taking you back. By taking you back to a comment that he had back in, I believe it was May, early May. And it was when people had been claiming that Florida was going to do poorly with the coronavirus, but he didn't think that that was warranted.
Reason is that because you got a lot of people in your profession who waxed poetically for weeks and weeks about how Florida was going to be just like New York. Wait 2 weeks, Florida's going to be next. Just like Italy, wait 2 weeks. Well, hell, we're 8 weeks away from that, and it hasn't happened. So we've succeeded, and I think that people just don't want to recognize it because it challenges their narrative, it challenges their assumption, so they got to try to find a boogeyman. Maybe it's that there are black helicopters circling the Department of Health. If you believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. Last question.
Yeah, see, his critics back then were saying that Florida's not going to do well. They just couldn't question the narrative that they had been supporting. They were just locked into it. And he was doing well at that point. That's why back on May 4th, he, as they prepared to reopen the state, he took a victory lap talking about his tailored and surgical approach to stay-at-home orders that have defied the worst predictions. And so he took a different path than other states, a successful tailored surgical path, where, for instance, Maryland secured nearly 1 million tests online. Instead, DeSantis in April, late April, secured 1 million doses of hydroxychloroquine, which was being boosted at that point by Donald Trump. And he could do that because it was tailored, it was surgical, and it was going to be successful. Except, oh Jesus, they've just reported nearly 9,000 cases in a single day, making the previous record-breaking days look like a walk in the COVID-infested park. And I also want to show you this. So see this chart? The scary thing is the 9,000 cases on the far right. But you see those 3 little lines marking the reopening phases? That video we showed you was at the second line. And things did look kind of good there. But when you don't take it seriously, when it's just do whatever you want, eventually you get to the right of that. And it's not just the testing, the positivity rate has been going up. And I want you to understand, the reason he's in the garbage is not just because his state is doing worse now. It's not just because he refused to do testing and he fired their data monitor and he bought a million things of hydroxychloroquine. It's not just that he made all of those mistakes before. It's that he still is. I want to show you this. This is from 3 days ago. He says they're not going to do a statewide mask mandate. You can catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And the best we have as of this morning is that he is slowing down the reopening after they passed 9,000 cases in a single day.
I don't understand the honey thing. I don't get it. Like,
it's a metaphor, but I don't know in this case what it means.
Ron DeSantis will come give you. What are you? You're gonna. We're gonna make tasty masks. Like, oh my God, it just proves he has no. I mean, I get it. Maybe when you're handling Florida, you can't tell Floridians what to do. You just ask them nicely, hey, guys, could you maybe not kill a bunch of people, huh? It's me, your friend Ryan. It makes sense that he is bungling the whole thing because we all remember what it looked like when he tried to put on his own mask.
Exactly. He didn't know. And this is what you get. They probably got very lucky in the beginning that it didn't hit as hard there as it did in New York. And he got to be fake, baselessly confident. And because of that, he didn't take it seriously. He's tried to hide the numbers. They don't report hospitalizations, so I can't even tell you how bad that is, although reports on the ground imply that they are nearly full. And the cases are just spreading so rapidly. And the issue is, maybe one of the reasons I'm doing this is because we got AMC live on the show to cancel their mask policy change. I'm hoping he's watching this. Governor Abbott is potentially reinstituting limited lockdowns in Texas, even though that will probably result in Trump attacking him. He deserves credit for that, and not much more, because that's not nearly enough. He should go much farther, but he's doing that. Florida has got to take this seriously. It's got an older population. It's got a massive population, densely clustered in metropolitan areas. They have got to take this seriously. And the guy who ran for office on I worship Trump more than anyone else is probably not the guy who's going to safeguard the lives of Floridians. And so, utter garbage.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Love me some Ron DeSantis.
He's the best. He's the best. Brett, what about you?
Okay, my garbage person is 5G, the devil, Hillary Clinton, and pedophile deep states, which is why I agree so much with this woman who went to the Palm Beach County Commissioner's workshop to workshop some idea she has, which might sound crazy to you, but if you don't believe him, you're the crazy one. John, please show her.
Okay, let's jump into this. This sounds rough. Let's find out.
You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people. It literally is killing people. And we the people are waking up, and we know what citizen's arrest is, because citizen's arrests are already happening, okay? And every single one of you that are obeying the devil's laws are going to be arrested. And you, doctor, are going to be arrested for crimes against humanity. Every single one of you have a smirk behind that little mask, but every single one of you are going to get punished by God. You cannot escape God. You cannot escape God. I'm going to say that again. You cannot escape God.
Even if you were in a God-themed escape room and the website said that the escape room was, quote, easy or moderate, you cannot escape God. Even though the red lines up with the red and the blue with the numbers, you can't. She is right. She starts off great. And this is the normalist. I can say with full confidence that is the normalist part of what she said.
You want to see more?
I do want to see more,
Let me
John.
just briefly mention, I don't know what this particular individual thinks citizen's arrest is, but that certainly seems like a threat against elected officials. I don't know, but let's go to more of the video.
6 feet, like I said before, is military protocol. You're trying to get the people to train them, so when the cameras, the 5G comes out, what? They're gonna scan everybody. We got to get scanned. We got to get temperatured. The kids have to go to school with masks. Are you insane? Are you crazy? I think all of you should be in a psych ward right the heck now.
I love when someone says a bunch of crazy, insane things and then pivots pivots to, you guys are crazy. You guys are insane. And is that ableist? I don't know. I just want to point out that, like, she just, this is inside the mind of the very correct people who are informed, but, like, they read these things on Facebook and they know it must be right because there's no serifs on that font. There's no serifs. No one's trying to trick me. This is the accuracy. I don't need frills. I just want facts. And they read it and they believe it. But it becomes very clear when they try to explain it to people that they never understood the lie they're supposed to tell. So it just becomes this vomit of, with 5Gs and the cameras, and they're going to temperature the kids because that's how that works.
Why is that a bad... What are they getting out of the temperature? What is the devil taking from you? It doesn't take your heat. You don't lose your heat.
But the devil gives you heat because you are infested with devils. But what is the full scope, John, of this lie being told to us about the virus? Well, she elaborates just how deep it goes.
Let's see.
This is insane. And then you want to open this meeting with a prayer to God. Are you praying to the devil? Because God is not listening to that prayer. Because all of you are practicing the devil's laws. What happened to Bill Gates? Why is he not in jail? Why is Hillary Clinton not in jail? Why are all of these pedophiles that are demanding you all to listen to their rules? Why are they not in jail? Oh, is it because you're part of them? Are you part of the deep state?
Your time has expired.
The deep state is going down. And if any of you are in the deep state, you're going down with.
Brett, did this person specifically mention Q, or are we just getting QE vibes?
I didn't see her. This is literally all I've seen of her because I've tried not to read the news very much on my week off. But it is very QE vibes. The deep state is something that I'm not even sure people know who stay deep state know about Q. It might just, there's like two different ways you end up saying deep state. One is QAnon and the other is like Hannity. And I love it where it's like, even if you, ma'am, are actively investigating the deep state, I can tell that you're not close because you're almost asking if people will admit that they're deep state.
Which seems like they wouldn't if they were deep state.
I love that she gets in the Bill Gates, Hillary Clinton, and pedophiles thing. That really is like one of those songs that starts off like really mellow and it's and then by the end it's the loudest thing you've ever heard. It's like, it's Mac the Knife, and it's just like, I want to arrest Bill Gates.
I just don't like it. I don't want it anymore. Brett, is Q still gonna be a thing when we're 80? Is it still gonna be?
I don't know, man. Because like there's a lot happening that's good and bad with the democratization of information in that everyone can have access to it. Before, if you were just like bored, yes, maybe you had access to conspiracy theories somewhere, but you weren't also then able to really share them with anyone.
Yeah.
But now you have unending access to insanity and Okay. You have unending access to the weirdos and the wackos, and you also have unending access to the weird, wacky, insane information. Like that.
And you can make money by spreading the weird, wacky stuff yourself, potentially, as an influencer. Yeah. So, look, I don't know who she is individually. Please don't go and harass her or track her down or anything like that. She as an individual doesn't matter. What matters is that our country is filled with people like this. It's not, I used to think it was like 1% of the country believed really crazy things. On Twitter, it looks like 50% of the country does. I don't think either of those are right, but it's in the middle. Like, people, I grew up believing we're going to get to Star Trek someday. Like, we're all just going to be good and, like, pursue our passions and help each other. This is a weight dragging us down. Is the irrationality, the anti-science, the willingness to believe almost anything. And it's all the grifters that are spreading it constantly. That this woman was corrupted. She wasn't born believing this insanity. Like, dishonest, powerful liars created her.
Yeah.
We're not getting to Star Trek.
But it is true that in the past, you were able to tune into, like, town halls and people would come in and say that.
Yeah.
Just maybe, like now, it is fun. And I wonder what exposing them leads to. Like, she's got to see that she's insane. And I love that she's like...
All the people who comment on Twitter, I've lost all my friends, my family doesn't love me anymore because of Q, that's the price I pay for following the true path or whatever. There are people who've lost everything, and that, to them, just confirms how right they are.
God.
Yeah.
God help you.
Anyway, great choice for garbage people. But what does the community think? So we asked you, as we always do, and 13,000 of you voted. And for this week, the winner, Kentucky officials in charge of voting and polling stations, are the community TDR garbage people of the week for totally needless and not surprising voter suppression, as we always see. We have Trump for trying to reduce testing. By the way, I love, I think Angel puts this together. I love that you put reasons. I like that. He's at 25 for trying to reduce testing. We've got Bill Barr for being Bill Barr. At 24, NYPD commissioner for claiming driving cars into people is not brutality at 12%. And Trump rally goers in Tulsa and Phoenix at 8%.
That was at 1,000,000%. That was supposed to be at 2,000,000%. And it's, I don't know, they didn't feel safe voting for that.
Well, anyway, congratulations, Kentucky election officials. You are garbage. Anyway.
I want to stick around for all your super chats.
Okay, well, let's do some super chats then. We're at 15. We might not get through all of them, but we'll try. Young Turk Review says, we are here in Fort Bragg, California. Can you recommend people we can connect with to try and create action to change the racist name of this town? That is a great point. I don't know. I mean, I guess bringing it up at a meeting like the one you just saw would probably be one of the first parts. Changing a town name. That is interesting. I don't know that I've actually seen that.
They're trying to change Rhode Island and get rid of the Providence plantation.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. That's a tough one. Ronan says, hey, buds, Legal is suing the White House. Yeah, we just had a conversation yesterday about Legal. Thank you for that update. JHWH Gadol says, I think belief and constant indoctrination in American exceptionalism and superiority makes responding to crises difficult. If you're already the best country in the world, why should you improve? That makes sense. Yeah, why should we? Nathan says, I think dogs should vote. Happy Friday, wear a mask. Thank you. Luck Dragon says, I have to remind myself that creating a wormhole at the center of our planet isn't the answer to our problems right now. Maybe thawing out Khan? Maybe. I think we're getting towards that part in Star Trek, actually. Miranda says, Brett, I called you a twatter on Twitter the other night, and you liked it, which is awesome.
Thank you, Miranda.
Sage and Candle says, nurses made a video wearing masks and O2 sensor. I haven't seen that, but thank you for the super chat. Artana says, calling them conspiracy theories is too generous. You should have some foundation in reality to form a theory.
Right. Do they have a bunch of conspiracy hypotheses that through great work was reinforced?
Yeah, we unfortunately haven't been able to... we haven't been able to make conspiracy hypothesis a thing. Gemmo says, finally, TDR is my favorite excuse to procrastinate doing work. By the way, John, every time you say my name right, I get giddy from pure joy. I think I did it. Thank you. FRB says, my dude, stay safe. Try to hang on anything sane. We're with you. Same boat. Also, F white supremacy. So beyond sick of the what racism shtick here in France, too. Yeah. Yeah, France is... Yeah. Michael says, I'm a nurse, UK. Thank God for our NHS. Heart. Thank you. UK, hard hit, though. Jeez. Miranda says, John, Legal Eagle posted here yesterday about the lawsuit he just filed against multiple factions of our federal government, including the White House and State Department. And remember last week when I asked you if you were worried about the ACA? Love you. That's a good point, Miranda. Yeah, you were very timely on that. Kay, thank you for your coffee. Michael says, again, I'm a nurse, UK NHS. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for serving. Michael. Daisy says, thank you. Thank you, Daisy. Brian says, the corroded circuit breaker is the perfect analogy for the state of American politics. Also, love Fridays with Brett and John.
Thanks, because when I started, I was like, this is bad kick out, but it was too late.
You, Michael, scotted it, but it worked. Your Canadian nosy neighbor says, from BC, Canada, and never expected my homesteading, pot-growing, free-loving friends would ever be sharing the same memes as my Trump-loving mom. Mm-hmm. Michael says, also, you can't argue with stupid. We have to, though. That's our job. Country Cross Stitcher says, hi, John and Brett. As an Aussie, I want to thank the whole world for keeping the world informed. Oh, the whole crew for keeping the world informed. People's confusion when I can bring up facts not from CNN is priceless. Brett, your singing sounds sinister at 3 a.m. Stay strong.
Thank you.
I don't know which song that was, but thank you.
La-da-dee-da-dee. Wait, but I did that before we started. How do people hear it?
Australia's got some sort of back door. Love Dragon says, frack it, I'm waking up Khan and boarding Serenity. Oh. Thank you. You're mixing franchises there, but thank you. Wes Crosby says, John, can you improv a little of your famous Ben Shapiro impersonation? The joke's on you. I've been doing it this whole time. I haven't made contact with the lens in minutes. Michael Elphick says, guys, as a registered nurse in UK, nursing COVID patients, had it myself. Trust us that NHS would serve you guys well. There is no system but capitalism. Healthcare kills. Thank you, Michael. Working on it. Maureen says, do either of you think there's anything he could do that would make his voters sorry they voted for him?
Losing.
No,
losing.
I don't think that they would mind that. They like being outsiders.
Yeah.
I think for maybe 20% of the country, they will follow him on anything. I don't know that I could come up with a thing he would say that would lose them. Zachary says,
yeah.
What were you going to say?
It's just like what percentage, like, and what's the breakdown of those two? Is it people who really care a lot about it, or people who don't care that much about it but are like, yeah, sure, Trump, whatever, I gotta go back to work?
I don't know. I would love to know. Zachary says, do you guys think that Trump's followers will accept a loss if Trump loses? No. Most won't.
But Hillary didn't accept it.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're all going to be in the streets necessarily, although I am worried about that. But no, like, years after, even if he gets destroyed in both the Electoral College and the popular vote, years later, you will hear that it was illegitimate. Matt says, we should give Bunker Boy a pacifier and put on cartoons so maybe he won't keep destroying the U.S. with his ego. He acts worse than my 3-year-old niece with his temper tantrums. Let's treat him as such. I mean, he's not that many years off from it anyway. Julie says, she will cause AZ to have 2 Dem senators since 1953. Oh, interesting. It's been that long. Jeez.
Wow.
Young Turks Review says, please go to change.org to sign the petition to change the name from Fort Bragg, California. Fort Bragg, change.org. I wonder if I can actually find... Is this the one?
Go up a little bit.
There is a petition with over 1,700 people. But it's been up for a bit, so I'm not sure that it's our follower who started it, but still, search Fort Bragg and change.org if you can find it. Thank you, Young Turk Reviews. That is certainly a way to get it started. Anthony says there's no grand wizard for Antifa. That might actually get Tucker to be a little bit more into it. Gina Jones says, John, how's little Abby doing? Abby is sleeping. She's been feeling better for some time, but thank you for asking. Ginger Red Shoes says, armed militia planning to march on BLM protests tomorrow in Louisville. Wow. By the way, Brett, did you see, I don't remember if it was Tucker Carlson, but it was them freaking out about there were armed black people around the Wendy's, and they were like freaking out, like, they're threatening people having guns in public like that.
It's so deep. They're racist.
Matt says, keep up the good work for the whole world. Get Trump out. Trying. Thank you. Kimberly says, Brett and John, two of my 3 favorite people. Well, now I have to wonder. Thank you for making my Friday happier and taking out the trash. Thank you, Kimberly. Who's
Hopefully
the third?
It's you. Kimberly herself.
Maybe.
Love thyself.
Love thyself first, yeah. Ernie says, Fridays are the best with you too. Thanks, fellas.
Love thyself third, after me, then John, then yourself.
I'll take it.
I
Maybe
should
in the middle.
probably be at that time.
Me, her, you. Patrick Bateman says, Tucker says to jail Antifa leaders because the right thinks the Dem party instruct them and Soros funds them. Jail the opposition party is his message. Maybe. That could be what some of his viewers are getting out of it. Sketchy Mom says, garbage people needs to go in gross garbage. Banana peels, coffee grounds, something sticky for my kids' snack, etc. That's a good point. We were actually, this is behind the scenes stuff, but we were going to go in the very opposite direction for the pandemic. Edwin was planning to start decorating our trash can with like googly eyes and things like that. And now it's just this IKEA bin.
One thing we have here in this home is a lot of googly eyes.
That's true, you do. Okay, let's see. A few more. Bruce Martin says, we've only tested 5% of Florida's population. We have no test and trace plan. He's also fudging the numbers. I work in the healthcare field, and it is getting bad. Stay safe, Bruce. Thank you. Gina says, I'm in Florida, and I rarely go out unless I absolutely need to. The county I am in is requiring masks at indoor places where you cannot social distance. That's good. Purple Bunny Girl says, as a Floridian, yikes, DeSantis continues to suck. Caroline says, John's face lol. I think that was from the first Florida woman, your thing. Alex says 5G lady is going to vote in November. Will you? B. Ramos says crazy train Trump supporter. Please do research and educate yourself. COVID-19. Stop watching Fox News. Please do.
I want to say she was not my garbage person. 5G was Hillary Clinton and the deep state.
Bill Gates. Wednesday Gomez says nice reference. Everything about Ted Cruz freaks me out. 100%. Rodney Fong says, maybe we could have each post in Facebook or social media have an indicator if it is fact or opinion, with the protester being responsible and accountable for the indicator. I think that's fraught and difficult technologically. But more needs to be done. I don't know if that's possible or preferable. William Bacon says, Florida hasn't shut bars, but they will stop alcohol consumption. Bet DeSantis wishes he was good as New York now. We're doing good in the tri-state area now. Yeah, it has been a lot of improvement in the Northeast. Strike says, it's really sad, John. I thought the ratio of stupid, insane to sane was 1 to 20 in the US. It's really like 1 to 5. But hey, Last of Us 2 is out and Persona 4 is on Steam. Nice. Brett, you going to play Last of Us 2?
Probably. I don't know. It's one of the, I don't know about that. Do you kill a lot of zombies or do you have to sneak around a lot of zombies?
I think you can do it either way. I will say I am killing a lot of zombies.
Okay, maybe I will.
Zane says, Kentucky election officials for delubricating people's ability to vote when they should absolutely be lubricating voting in Kentucky using KY. Zane, you've lost it. Bruce Martin says, dialysis SW in Florida, positive dialysis rising. Is that like, interesting. Is that a measure that sort of gets around their hospitalization rates? Interesting. Donna says, most not wearing masks in Maine. I get eye rolls. Jeez. Rodney Fong says, can we have a naming contest for the first TYT spaceship like TYT Progressive? That's fun. Let's do that. Maybe Gabby can run it. Panama says, Matt Gaetz is a tool. He is. There's been less acknowledgement of that today than usual. Anastasia says, just watch the Pence COVID-19 update. Yikes. I'm going to have to catch up on that. Nick says, John, you should look into the crazy protests happening in Madison, including the 3 white dudes who set the black girl on fire the other day. I'm only seeing on local news so far. Okay, I will have to look into that. I had not seen anything about that. Thank you. Donna says, family and I had it. No test. No antibody test. Wow. Matt says, my aunt is a dialysis nurse. Performed dialysis on confirmed patients. Told she can't get hazard pay unless she tests positive. Sorry for all the chats. You never have to apologize. Thank you. And hopefully she can get that. Anastasia says, will you cover the Milwaukee sex trafficking event? Jeez, what's going on in Milwaukee recently? Wow. Okay.
Holy Schlitz.
I will look into it. That's funny.
I do want to say, let me do some shout outs to some Twitch people. Thunder Voice 1 shared 100 bits saying, I agree with Cucker. The people destroying this country are criminals. For example, Trump bar McConnell nailed it. And then Glarga Bullgas Manic subscribed on Prime and same as Sinoble for Prime. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're cool.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in all this week and supporting us. Really do appreciate it. Hope you had a little bit of fun. Main show is coming up later today. Happy Half Hour is not coming up because you had the week off,
It
right?
is.
Oh, it's the one with Nando.
Last week was Juneteenth. We pre-recorded this week's episode last week while I was not on vacation. It's a whole plan. Me and Nando. He drinks Negronis, and I don't remember what I had.
Apparently a lot of them. Anyway, stay tuned for that. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, Brett.